The real cost of being a whale in Diablo Immortal. Diablo Immortal is that Diablo game you can play on your phone. You guys have phones, right? Let's see.
So, what does it take to become a whale in Diablo Immortal? Now, in some games, it might only cost you $1,000, $5,000, $10,000.
I love how this starts already. Only $10,000? What a steal.
But Diablo Immortal is not like these other games. In Diablo Immortal, you'll find...
Now, $10,000 is very normal, okay, for a game. You guys don't... Okay.
Players who have spent anywhere from $1,000 to $20,000 to upwards of $100,000. Now, you might remember the infamous video, Should I Refund $100,000 on Diablo Immortal from JT Is All Business from over 3 years ago.
For those of you unfamiliar, I remember this video from 3 years ago. So this is when Diablo Immortal first released, and he basically bought anything you could buy in the game. And he spent so much money, let me mute StarCraft 2 real quick. He spent so much money that he was so overpowered that he couldn't play the game anymore because he couldn't group with anybody, he couldn't play PvP. Like, he was so strong that nobody would play with him because he was so overtuned. It's one of the weirdest problems to have, so he was contemplating refunding everything just so he could play the game again. Now, obviously, it's ridiculous to spend $100,000 on a video game. It's just stupid. Like, why? Anyways.
And if you didn't see it from him, then you might have watched the Bald Man react to it, seeing as he's gotten about 10 times the amount of views on it. But even nowadays, $100,000 is a lot to spend on a game. And it is a little bit watered down now that the game's over 3 years old. And it's not as shocking to hear, but that's still over $30,000.
Dude, the fact that you don't consider that shocking to hear, that's some folks out there spend $100,000 on a video game, is shocking to me.
$100 a year. That's more than the cost of a new Nissan Sentra. And oh yeah, stay tuned. We're going to take a look at how JT Is All Business is doing nowadays, since we happen to play on the same server.
Oh,
and
he still plays.
He does still play.
Yeah.
So, what does it mean to be a whale in Diablo Immortal? And how much does this all cost?
So, real quick, whales, in case you're unfamiliar with the terminology, they're basically the reason why a lot of these mobile games exist. Basically, the folks that spent like they're basically the folks that buy like practically everything available in the game and that are like the absolute most important customers for these mobile games. So, I'm guessing if 100K is not unreal anymore, I'm guessing some players out there spent even more than that.
Are the in-game currencies and how I'll be making a real dollar comparison here. So the two currencies are platinum, which can be used on the player market, buy and sell items. It can be earned for free through the battle pass and a few other places. And then
it can be earned for free through the battle pass. What are you saying, mate? Like, what are you... Sorry.
There are orbs, which are the premium currency, which you can only buy from Blizzard. And of course, if you check the website, you can see the same bog standard predatory pricing. And would you believe me if I told you that there's a secret $200 bundle that is only available on the website? I'm assuming it's because there's some sort of limit to the price of in-app purchases on mobile games, but this bundle will provide you with the best dollar per orbs that you can find.
So the best value tab is added to the $200 purchase for in-game microtransactions.
But of course, there is a black market for both of these currencies. I'm not going to be considering it in my calculations, but if you do end up, buying orbs from one of these people, then you're going to end up with a negative orb balance, and Blizzard's going to make it so that your account can never join a party ever again. It's honestly one of the coolest ways I've...
Wait, so if you buy in-game currency through a third party, which is very scummy, by the way, you cannot invite people to the party, cannot use legendary crests, cannot trade on the in-game market, cannot queue for PvP. To resolve the issue, you will need to add eternal orbs. So basically, if they detect that you have gotten your stuff through some sort of... Okay. So you have to buy them again through the same system, but effectively, yeah, you have to pay your own bill. I've never heard of that. That's crazy.
That your account can never join a party ever again. It's honestly one of the coolest ways I've seen to receive a soft ban, because your account just becomes unusable. You still have it, so now you just
So he's at minus 2.4 million.
have the FOMO times a million. But the most cost-effective way is to spend your money, buy some orbs, use that to buy crests in the game, get some legendary gems, sell those for plat, or use them yourself. Because you can also transfer 1 orb for 10 plat, but this conversion rate sucks and should be only done.
You know, I dislike microtransactions as much as the next gamer, right? But I generally don't have any real problems with like in-game cosmetics. A game like this, a game like Diablo, a game like Diablo Immortal, is all about number gets bigger, right? Like number gets bigger, therefore you deal more damage. And being able to buy heart power in the game with in-game currencies is just insane. Like that defeats the entire purpose of it. It just completely defeats the purpose of playing the game. Because you can just buy your way to a stronger account. Like there is zero skill expression. There's nothing.
For like tiny amounts of platinum. Next, I'll briefly explain what systems are in place that make people whales.
Even cosmetics, I find very annoying. Now, I understand that this is like some gamer elitism or whatever, but back when I played World of Warcraft a lot, I thought having some of the mounts was like the absolute coolest thing you could have. Right? So like, for example, I hunted the Ashes of Alar for literally years, and then I finally got it. But then shortly after that, they started selling those storm mounts. And initially it was just like the one, and everybody kind of recognized the one that was purchasable for like $25. But then over time, they made all of the new cool mounts buyable. And now all of the people that like have all of the cool mounts that they got through in-game work are all just kind of... like, it's not, you no longer really stand out with the cool achievements that you've had, right? So even like cosmetics, I don't really like. But I understand that, like, you know, the reality is that you need to make money as a video game developer. So cosmetics, I am generally okay with, especially if it's like, you know, like, for example, the Dota model, where effectively, at least this last time I checked, like, basically the whole game is free, and then you can buy in-game skins and all that. I think that's very reasonable. I think that's a pretty cool way of doing it. But just making everything buyable, ugh.
So there are 2 main things, and these are 2 different types of gems. There are normal gems, which come in the red, yellow, and blue variety, and these only provide a singular stat. These are a lot more straightforward. You just get duplicates, and you upgrade them, and they give you stats. But the number that is required is astronomical. So it's an exponential.
Okay, so you can technically level them up, but it's not realistic.
Growth. Every rank requires...
yeah, so technically it's not buyable, but realistically, you can never get this like from in-game time without spending hundreds of hours.
Another exponent of 3. So rank 9 is like 7,000 duplicates, and rank 10, the maximum rank, is 20,000. And just for context, you can only get about 20 of a specific gem per week, naturally.
I wondered what time frame he was going to say. I thought it was going to be per day, maybe per hour. You can get 20 per week. Why do people play this? I don't understand. Like, that's always... obviously, everybody has free will, right? To play whatever game you like. And you can do whatever you like. You're probably watching this, you're probably an adult, you can spend your money on whatever you like. But where is the fun?
So, you're going to be spending a lot of platinum on these things. And then there are legendary gems, which these have their own abilities.
So that wasn't even the best gem that you can buy. What's really funny is that right underneath my camera, there's stars for each of them. If you have a 5-star echoing shade at rank 6, you know you're poor, right? You should have had a 6-star. Are you broke or something? Like, why do you only have a 5-star?
Provide their own different boosts, and most importantly, they increase your resonance. Now, your resonance is essentially a number that denotes what rank and what quality your gems are.
Actually, that was 4. I can't count. Oh, whatever.
It gives your HP and damage a boost. but that's not too important. All you need to know is the higher the resonance, the more gems the person has bought, the more money they've spent, and so on. And as I've alluded to, the way you get more resonance is by upgrading your gems. And once they're high enough rank, you can throw gems inside of those gems to get another little small resonance boost.
Come on.
And then once you've spent enough money, you can put gems inside of your wings, and you unlock new sets of wings at every 1,000 resonance interval. But once you put these gems...
You know what's crazy about this, right? Is that there are game developers out there that will have done the research as to what is most optimal to make as much money as possible, right? Like, you have people that their job is just to figure out a way to squeeze as much money out of your customers as possible. And where do you start? How do you begin? Obviously, you look at the freaking casinos, right? Like, you look at what makes things addictive and how you can get people to spend more money over time. And that's where it's just so insanely predatory. Because I know there are some people out there that have money, right? Like, there are folks out there that have money that don't care about spending 100 grand on something. I'm sure those people exist. I don't know what sort of life they live, but it's got to be insane. Either way, there's people out there that have money. And there's a lot of them where 100K more or less doesn't matter to them at all. But there's also folks out there that will be playing with those rich guys, and that will be living paycheck to paycheck, spending practically every single dime that they have on a game like this. Very similar to how you have guys at the casino doing the same thing, that just, you know, put all of their cash every time into the slot machines, just hoping that one day they will roll big. It's the exact same feeling that I get when I listen to this type of talk, and it's just so scummy.
Inside of your wings. I have no idea where they go, how they sit in there, what they're doing in there, but nonetheless, they provide a little bit of a resonance boost, as I was mentioning. So this is a good look into the money pit that legendary gems are. So the current maximum resonance as of the making of this video is 13,000.
Again, you can spend your money wherever you like, man. I'm not judging you for spending your money. It's very predatory.
24. But before we jump into the big numbers, let's take a look at where we came from. So in the beginning, when Diablo Immortal was just a little new game, the max resonance was 7,560, which was very hard to reach, but not impossible, because our friendly neighborhood, JT is All Business, achieved it himself.
That's where I'm at. Now, if you guys are wondering, JT, how much have you spent to get where you are? The total I've spent is 67. Well, no, actually, I spent $5,000 today. The total I've spent is $73,000. However, as you can see, a lot of this is in eternal orbs, which have not been spent yet. So the total amount that's actually spent on the account is somewhere right around, I believe, $63,000.
But at that point, being a whale was considered to be around 5,000 resonance, and we know how much this costs because of a video from Darth Microtransaction.
I told you I would tell you the price of this. So the price of this was $24,000 in order to get those Giga wings. It cost the guy just $24,500, I think is what he said it was, and was 1,100 runs of the Rift. It was the information that the person who posted those wings answered with.
And now I can tell you from my own experience that nowadays getting 5K costs absolutely nothing close to that. If you wanted to try and get everything at once in the ideal conditions, 5K reso is going to cost you...
So they keep on leveling up the power creep, right? So effectively, even if you, for some insane reason, spent that level of money, it's only going to be relevant content for a very short amount of time, because they will just bring you more ways of spending money.
Anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000. But if you've been playing for a while, it's more likely that you'll spend closer to $2,000 to $3,000.
Like, if you've already spent 10 grand, you'll be very likely as well to spend another 2K, right? If you can spend 2K to get back up on top or whatever, or at least close to it, yeah, you're very likely, like, you're a great candidate for whoever is making these systems to be spending more.
Now, over the years, they've added 2 additional item slots, which means 2 legendary gem slots, and this brings the max reso up to about 10,000. Again, an impossible number at the time, but what this update also pushed was the boundary of what is considered to be a whale. 5,000 resonance was now much, much more achievable for a lot less money. So to be considered a whale after this update was more around 6,000 to 7,000 resonance. And I don't know how much this would have cost at the time, but nowadays you can reach 6,000 resonance for close to $10,000. But we're still pretty far off of the 13,024 I mentioned. This is where the wing resonance comes into play. That's right, adding gems inside of your wings. And the bigger your wings are, the more gems you can add in there. And you guessed it, with the addition of wing resonance, the cutoff of who is a whale was again pushed back even farther.
You know what's really crazy too is that I'm pretty sure, and I don't really know, but I'm pretty sure Diablo Immortal is very small when it comes to the mobile gaming market. There's games out there that have so many players. I mean, we looked at the numbers recently for the Esports World Cup, right? Like the most viewed games. And all of the most viewed games are mobile games. Like Mobile Legends, Bang Bang, PUBG Mobile, Honor of Kings. Like all of those games that I know a lot of people listening to this will not even ever heard of. Like those are the most popular games. They get millions of views. Like millions of live views, that is. Like it's an insane number. So I don't know if those games have similar monetization as this. I don't think so because they're esports titles and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But as far as like the gacha gaming world goes, I don't think Diablo Immortal is really that big. Yeah. Well, Activision Blizzard King, right, was the company that Microsoft bought. And King is the company behind Candy Crush. And Candy Crush is massive. Like, Candy Crush is a huge game. I think everybody's familiar with that. Now, I don't know if you can have whaling up to this level in a game like Candy Crush. But there's certainly many ladies out there. I picture this as like, you know, ladies like my mom that are just coming home after a day of work or whatever, and they're like just picking up their phone. My mom would never. But I can imagine them just spending $5 here, $10 there, $20 there. I don't really know exactly how far they can go in that game. Yeah, I can see my grandma playing Candy Crush. I highly doubt my grandma would be a whale in Candy Crush. That's also because my grandma lived through World War II, and, you know, she still has a bit of that mindset, but I don't see that happening very quickly. But still, maybe you can spend that level of money too in those types of games. I don't know.
Nowadays, wing resonance unlocks at 6,000 resonance, so to be considered a whale, you have to be closer to 9,000 resonance. That's right, we've officially surpassed the original maximum. And upon reaching 9,000 resonance, you can apply to the official whale Discord. And then once you're in there, you'll realize that you need to spend another $20,000 just to hang with the big dogs.
Oh! There's a whale Discord where all of the... okay. You can find your people. All the guys that have spent 100 grand.
Getting your account to 9,000 resonance is going to run you about 30,000.
Dude, I wonder what this club is like. This is like a country club, you know, where like, yes, it's mostly rich folks, but there will also be people in there masquerading as rich folks that are actually just like insanely in debt because they just keep spending all of their money on weird
dollars. And that's just for the legendary gems. Again, this is an ideal condition if you're able to just go and buy all of this within a few days, if not a week. But that's only one part of it. If you remember earlier, I mentioned that there are also normal gems. And well, there are 20 normal gem slots. And in order to hang with the rest of the whales, you need to get your normal gems ranked up too. Rank 8 would be the bare minimum. Rank 9 makes you a contender. And rank 10, while mostly unachievable, is what will give you the edge on the competition. Luckily, out of all the gem slots, you don't really need to worry about the red ones. So you can just save yourself a little bit of money there and upgrade your blue and yellow gems. But of course, everybody's doing this, so the blue and yellow gems are more expensive. And this is going to run you about $17,000 just to get them to rank 9. And not only is it going to cost you so much, you're also going to be spending hours just staring at the market, hoping that someone has posted more gems, because, as I've mentioned previously, each rank 9 gem requires 6,561 duplicates. So this brings your minimum cost of becoming a whale to a whopping $47,000. And this just barely gets you into the whale territory, because you're also going to need a good pet, and I hope you've been leveling up your sanctum every day. Which, the sanctum is just a daily thing. You go inside this area, you open some chests, get some of these gemstones, upgrade some more gems that give you some different stats. it all adds up in the end, but it's locked to once a day. So if you haven't been playing for that long, your Sanctum's going to be very, very underleveled. But these two things are going to run you an extra $1,000 to $5,000, just depending on how long you've been playing. So it's safe to say that 9,000 Resonance Whales are spending somewhere around $50,000 just to hang with the rest. And you might be wondering, oh, there's not that many people who are at 9,000 Resonance. But these types of accounts are incredibly common. You'll see them everywhere, but they pale in comparison to the real whales, those who have made it to the in-game cap of 13,024 Resonance. So players haven't honestly been up this high in Resonance for that long. It has been less than half a year since we've seen...
I can imagine, right, when you become a game developer, you have these grand ambitions. There's actual courses you can take in university, right, that give you everything you need to know about this. And then at some point down the line, you find yourself working on a game like this? Seriously?
The first
I feel bad.
accounts at all, ever.
Like, would you even put this on your resume? Like, I have successfully managed to subtract millions of dollars out of players in a gacha mobile game. Like, I hate this, man.
Maxed out on Resonance. At least in the US. I'm not sure how China's going since they essentially have their own game over there. But reaching 13,024 Resonance is no small feat.
It is straight up depressing.
Minimum requirements are 40 max rank, 5 out of 5 quality legendary gems.
I also don't know what the solution is, though, right? Like, again, you can do whatever you like. There are some countries, of course, that are trying to regulate this sort of thing. Remember when loot boxes were considered to be the absolute pinnacle, and some countries are making them really difficult now? But the game development is obviously moving way past that at this point. So even if you were to want to regulate it, it would be very difficult to pull off, and obviously people would still be allowed to do it. But it's... I don't know. The solution is to ban microtransactions? Yeah, but that's also insane. That's also ridiculous.
Rank 10 2-star gems. And this alone is over $220,000 in ideal case.
Yeah, at that point, exactly. Like, the more you talk about these sort of subjects, the more you get to ban capitalism. Exactly. Like, there's no... Honestly, everybody has free will to do whatever they like, right? But that's exactly the issue you run into. I don't really have a very addictive personality, I guess, where I seem to be able to quite easily take a step back and think about what I'm doing. But I've seen this around me in life, where some people are like, oh, just double up or nothing, blah, blah, blah. You know, like you see this everywhere. If this is something you're susceptible to, these type of games are insanely dangerous.
Additions, of course, just for these legendary gems. And that's having max rank gems.
Dude, to be fair though, at this point, I wish I could spend more money on StarCraft 2. Like, I have been doing all this StarCraft stuff. I believe they even gave me Heart of the Swarm and Legacy of the Void for free. It's like, man, I just wanted to spend money. Let me buy anything. But no, there's nothing to buy in StarCraft. No, but seriously, like, this is crazy.
Then you put max rank gems inside of your gems, and then you have max rank gems inside of your wings. And let's not forget about the normal gems, because these players who are maxing out their resonance are also the types to have rank 10 normal gems. Again, almost 20,000 duplicates.
What do you guys think the final number is going to be? He's going to give us a number, right? Like, we can see the numbers going up. Right now, we're coming up on about 100K. 400? $500,000? Yeah, I feel like we're heading in that direction.
Per gem. So these guys are going to
Because it's exponential, right? Like, just like the gems. In order to, like, take that extra step, you have to spend exponentially more.
Get all 20 normal gems to max rank. Because you can't be walking around with some little rank 7 and rank 8 red slots if you're going to be a real whale. They have all got to be 9 and 10, if not all 10. So for the cheaper red gems, each rank 10 is going to cost you about $1,000. And then for the yellow gems, you're going to be spending about $1,500 per slot. And then for the more expensive blue gems, specifically the sapphires, they're going to be about $3,500 per gem. So in total, that's an additional $41,000 on normal gems alone. And you're also going to be spending hours, if not days, just staring at the market, sourcing the almost 400,000 duplicates needed to rank these up. But that's not all. These whales have their gems maxed out, so why not max out their familiars as well? The best familiars or pets are going for millions of platinum, and the ones you'll see these guys wearing are going to cost around $1,000 each. And I can tell you with certainty that they will have multiple pets of this sort. And I mentioned the Sanctum earlier in this video.
If
Well,
you
the
can
account we're
afford
looking at
this,
now
at least have somebody buy the gems for you, man. Like, there's definitely somebody out there that has, like, staff that is just buying... Charles, buy the gems for me. And Charles is just staring at the phone the whole day, trying to buy the gems whenever they become available.
has his completely maxed out. And it's hard to say exactly how much this would cost because I'm unsure of how many days you'd need to open all these chests because you have to do this every single day. But this will run you somewhere around $15,000. So now that brings our grand total to max your account like these Giga Whales to $281,000. And this is assuming that you're able to straight up buy
Judging by the time that's left in this video, I think there's another tier.
everything from the market, which in the short term is not really achievable, because if you remember, we need 74 duplicates for each legendary gem, and then you need 40 of these total, and that's almost 3,000 duplicates to max everything out. Now you can also just buy the crest with orbs and hope that you get gems that you need, but that'll also require you to run tens of thousands of Elder Rifts. And then you have to also hope that you get what you need. And doing this is more expensive in the long run, but not by much. If you go on
maybe
rate,
just
then
play
you can
Path
have
of
all your
Exile,
gems
dude.
maxed out for a similar price of like $250,000, which would bring
This
the
isn't
total
even
to
fun.
about $311,000. However, in the real world, you'll find that these mega whales have more than just the minimum of 40 legendary gems. A lot of these gems that you put inside of your gems are also ones that you'd like to use yourself. So you're going to have multiples of these, and then each time new gems come out, you're going to want to get your 74 copies all over again. So in practice, you'll see that these whales will have closer to 60 max rank gems. And now this is going to cost you over $330,000 alone. More if you want to run the crest yourself. So we can make a reasonable assumption as to how much it costs to max your account, like these specific Giga Whales. And that number is $391,000. Again, in ideal conditions. So it's not
Yes.
crazy to assume
And that's
that
the key. Ideal conditions. 391 in ideal conditions. But obviously, if you've been playing since the start and you've had this power creep over time, over the last 3 years, it's probably safe to assume those folks have spent more like 6, 7, maybe upwards of $1 million. I wouldn't be surprised. And that's crazy. That's insanity. Again, for the people that can spend $1 million here and don't care, right? Like whatever. If you are in that sort of position, good for you, I suppose. I can't imagine what life would be like when you can just say, whatever, $1 million, whatever, right? But like the folks that aren't, like, how do you? I don't get it.
$1,000. Again, in ideal conditions. So it's not crazy to assume that they've spent over $400,000.
We should find one of these guys to sponsor StarCraft tournaments, man. We can give them all the attention that they desperately crave. They can be part of any exclusive Discord community.
Before we go, I mentioned that we take a look at how JT is all business is doing, as he is the original whale of Diablo Immortal. And he's probably the reason that most people know about Diablo Immortal, or know that it's so pay to win. So if we take a look at his account, we can see that he's no longer 5k reso, of course. He's now up to almost 12,000 resonance. So he's still up there when it comes to whales, yet he's still pretty far away from maxing out his character. And then looking at his normal gems, they're pretty much all rank 9 and 10. And JT was probably one of the first few people to have any normal gem at rank 10, when he ranked up a ruby to 10 over 2 years ago. He picked rubies because they're the easiest to source since, as I've mentioned, no one really likes them. And you can even see now that he doesn't even have the ruby socketed. So it really was just for the love of the game. And then also looking at his sanctum, we can see that the important things are maxed out, but it's not completely maxed out.
So bro
yet.
spent like, what was it, 14K on leveling up a gem that he doesn't even use?
And that's because I'm pretty sure he's taken some extended breaks from the game. So if you're not doing this every day, then you're really not going to be able to max it out. So that's how JT's doing now. He's definitely still a big whale, but not even close to the Giga Whales, since it takes so much to reach the max level on your gyms.
Dude,
and
I'm feeling like, I'm trying to figure out why I'm feeling like this. I feel very, you know, when sometimes you come across like these random documentaries or whatever, like a news article about somebody that's like living under a bridge, even though they used to be very well off because they've gambled all of their life away, and you feel really bad for that person. I am feeling exactly like that right now. It's so gross.
So would you say it's worth it to spend this much? I'd personally never say it's worth it to spend the hundreds of thousands of dollars that some people have spent.
No, of course it's not worth it. Are you insane?
But I'll leave you with something to think about. These are people just spending money on a hobby of theirs. And I know I've personally spent over $10,000 on the gym and gym-related things in the past 3 years. That's including, you know, protein and gas and all this. And that's a cheaper hobby than most. Some hobbies, like golfing specifically or collecting things, can have you spending tens of thousands of dollars a year. So for most people, it honestly starts to make sense why they've spent so much money in the game. You know, also some part of this is going to be the gambling aspect. Some people have a little bit of a gambling addict in themselves, but that really only applies to these big whales.
You can spend your money wherever you like, but
that much money. Now, with all that being said, I would thank you all.
You could, for example, buy gift subs like Mickey. That's yeah, Mickey is the voice of reason here. Thank you, Mickey.